So it's that idea of like, yeah, it's I see so many men not want to deal with the short-term discomfort to reap that reward when in reality they're just slowly moving toward brutal, horrible, awful long-term pain that's going to be
Mhm.
so much more significant than like, yeah, I need to have this conversation with my wife. Yeah, I need to start working on myself, right? I
Right.
can feel myself going the wrong way and I'm not
Mhm.
dealing with it. That minor short-term discomfort of those initial little climbs so much more insignificant than what they're actually headed toward, and the reward and richness and beauty of what's on the other side of it, well worth the slight discomfort.
Robin Hood and Little John are walking through the forest, laughing back and forth at what the other one has to say.
Welcome to the Ruckless podcast. We got Bob Reece in studio today.
Yeah,
Coach Bob is how I've thought of him for years, watching your content, and then we got to kind of meet in person. You came in and
right.
talked with our muster group, which is kind of what we think of as our men's group of men that get together and talk about life and marriage and hard things and jobs and loss and wins and all that. So you came in, you gave some good content, and so then I grabbed you and said, "Let's come on this podcast and have you join us." And so let's get right into it. Bob, tell us, you come out of Wyoming right now.
Yeah, oh, Wyoming guy, I appreciate you having me down. Been
For sure,
excited
bud.
about this for a long time.
Yeah,
Since I got to come to your guys' group, exceptional group. Jealous of the quality of what you have there on a consistent basis.
yeah.
Just a great group of guys, and being able to connect with them like that. Yeah, out of Laramie, Wyoming. Love the great state of Wyoming.
Yep.
Biased toward that, but yeah, work full time up there
Mhm.
as a coach. Help entrepreneurs get either back to being a badass or sharpening that edge if they're already there. Just building that best version of themselves, whatever that is for them
Absolutely.
individually.
How'd you end up in that? I know you came from, I think you were a teacher in your previous life for a
Yeah.
while.
So previous life as a teacher, 17 years of junior high, high school coach teaching, and really kind of began that path from my own rock bottom. I was a teacher, but also always an entrepreneur. I still run and own a fly fishing guide business, owned a residential painting business for almost 20 years, and I was 60, 70 hour weeks for 5, 6 years in a row.
Yep.
And this was in my mid 30s. And I could feel my wife kind of starting to drift away from me, like I was losing her. Felt my connection with my kids just kind of started to dwindle, and I kept going to work every day. And at that point, my health really started to go downhill. In the middle of the night, one night, I came within a couple hours, almost bleeding to death internally, and was
From an
lucky
ulcer or
enough.
something? What was it?
No, so it was so stress is stress kills the body, right? Like we know that. And I was to the point where I'd ended up in the emergency room about 3 years in a row at the end of every year.
The end of
I
every school year or every like painting season? What
uh,
was the thing that was killing you?
it was probably the school environment,
Yeah.
or teaching at a really demanding school environment with a lot of intense violent behavior, crazy stuff, like really rewarding environment, but really intense, right?
Yeah.
And end of the calendar year, roughly. And I had at the time I was convinced that I would, probably die in my 40s or 50s, and that it was health related issues. When in reality, it was stress. I had procedures done on the nerves in the base of my skull. I had stuff done to my back, and the instant that led to the internal bleeding. Um, my immune system was so worn down from the stress that I wasn't dealing with in my life that I would get random infections and abscesses on my body, and I would go in and get them drained, right? Not still not acknowledging what I was actually doing to myself. And my doctor gave me an antibiotic for after one of those procedures, and she went on vacation. And so I went home, and it's at that point in time it's like January, February, so it's cold and flu season, and I felt like 4 or 5 days in, like I had the worst flu ever. So I went to quick care, and they're like, "No, yeah, it's just viral. Just go home and rest." And I'm like, "Okay."
Shit, yeah.
And my then wife and kid were out of town, so I was home solo. And 3 days later, I went back again, and I was like, dude, I feel I'm starting to hallucinate, like, I haven't eaten for 2 or 3 days, like,
Yeah,
is there any way this is the medication that the doctor put me on?
yeah.
And the the quick care doctor was like, "No, it's it's viral, like, just go home." And so I went home. Next day, I got myself back in the car, I went back, and I got into the room with the quick care again, and the doctor came in and asked me why I was there. He's like, "Dude, what are you doing here? You were just here yesterday." And I was like, I told him, I'm like, "I'm not leaving the room until you take my blood. I need you to take my blood.
Mhm.
My primary doctor's not in town." He's like, "Dude,
I
we
feel
don't
like
need."
I'm dying.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
right? Not knowing what's going on. And, he's like, "We don't need to take your blood." He's like, "It's just viral, just go home." And I was like, "Dude, I'm not fucking leaving this room until you put a needle in my arm and you take my blood." He's like, "Fine, like, calm down." So, sticks me in the arm, I go home. I fall asleep, and, it's about 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and my phone rings, and the voice on the other end says, "Sir, you need to get yourself up, you need to go check yourself into the hospital right now." And I'm like, "What?" They're like, "You need to go to the hospital and check yourself in right now." And they're like, "Can you get to the hospital?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I think I can get myself to the hospital." And nobody's at home. And I hadn't, when you're like gross and sick, and I hadn't taken my sweatpants and my
Oh,
sweatshirt
yeah,
off
baby.
at all for like 3 or 4 days, right?
Yeah.
I'm just
Yep.
kind of like surviving. And I went into the bathroom to change, and I took my sweatshirt and my pants off, and it wasn't showing up on my hands or on my face, but my entire body was purple from my neck all the way out to my arms, all the way down my legs. And essentially what had happened is the allergic reaction to the sulfa and the antibiotic had stopped my body from producing clot factor. So I had no clot factor, I had no white blood cells. And I got myself in the car. I don't remember the drive to the hospital. I remember getting out of the car and feeling like the intense cold on my face. And I remember the hospital teetering back and forth as I was
Oh,
walking into the emergency room doors. And I don't remember anything after that until I woke up the next morning. And
fuck.
the hematologist told me that if I had stayed asleep that night, that I would have died from internal bleeding somewhere around like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. So about 2 or 3 hours later, after they called me, I would have just bled out. So it was a huge, huge wake up call for me. It was one of the more physically challenging experiences of my life, but it definitely completely shifted the track
Yeah.
of where I was and where I
Yeah.
went. Um,
You ever think about, like, had you not gone to the hospital, of course you thought about it,
yeah.
but you're like, that eulogy, right? Like, what's it look like, man? Like somebody I've thought about this a lot, so it's kind of a baked in question into my life already is like, "All right, we're gonna make a little case for Bob at the end of the hallway at the school."
Yeah.
Like, what would have gone in that, man?
I mean, at that time, professionally, I definitely feel like I'd had a positive difference in the lives of a lot of kids, right? From
Right.
a professional standpoint, and I'd poured into their lives. But on the personal side of things, like realistically, not an amazing husband at the time.
Yeah.
Um, not the most involved or present dad at that point. And so, yeah, professionally, great eulogy. Probably would have looked good on the school wall, but the truth about what was actually going on at home and the quality of what I was given to that side of my life, just not wanting to deal with my own shit, not wanting to face who I was at that point,
Yeah.
I think would have been severely lacking and so completely different
Mm.
from where it's at right now.
Why
So
do you
yeah,
think how do you guys pull that off? Because I think a lot of guys do that. They're like, "Yeah, well, this one area, it'd have been great, right? Career-wise, I'd have looked like everybody thought I was great here,
right.
but then you walk through that front door at your home." You know what I mean? And how does that feel like when you walk through and you go, "Yeah, like, out there, whatever," but I walk in and it's just, "This is not what I want it to be."
Well, I think I don't know. I mean, I don't know how it is for the guys or in your. I know you guys have your own personal stories, but I think it's it's as a dude for me at least, and a lot of the guys that I work with, it's so much more comfortable and easy to turn all your attention and your focus to the work environment. Work still makes you feel validated. It still makes you feel significance.
The
And
scoreboard's easier at work, right? You
yeah,
got a P&L,
right.
you got employees, you got, year-end or quarterly reviews.
even at the end of it, right? It's like the school would immortalize you in a sense of that, right? It's like I did good. I touched these kids. Coach Bob, you'd be at the end of that hallway,
Mhm.
right?
But it's hard to measure that marriage.
It's also hard, I think, to realize that and then be like, but I don't like this side. I think it'd be easy to be like, well, look at this. This case is going to be awesome.
Right.
I'm doing something right.
Right.
And then we fall into that same path. I think it'd be hard to see that and then be like, oh, I am lacking here. How do I turn?
You feel it, like you feel
Yeah.
it, right? It feels like
Right.
shit, but it's harder to measure, right? You go home and you go, yeah, it's not right. But in say in the entrepreneurial world or the business world, there's levers to pull and they're pretty easy. It
Right.
typically is like you pull the marketing lever and then the phone rings more. But in a marriage or as a father, it's not a one for one relationship.
Well,
It might take you 10 years of rebehaving yourself in a way to see a result in your marriage.
right.
And that's hard.
Right. Well, and it's easier to look at your input. And it's easier to look at your ROI and, like you said, the levers and the market like that. It doesn't necessarily involve a true like inward focus.
Yeah.
So a lot of the guys that I work with, struggle with things like value in their own thoughts, value in their own affirmation, even like in any way becoming comfortable with the emotional side of
What do
things.
you
Which
mean by
I
value in your own thoughts? Like, what's that?
well,
Walk me
so
through that.
yeah, so like what are some of your favorite desserts? I
Tiramisu.
promise I'll make this make sense.
Dude,
I like this one.
I love tiramisu.
All right,
I
all right.
love a
What
good
about
cheesecake
you?
without any like
Oh,
no jellies on top of that shit. Just straight up
okay,
cheesy crust.
I'm just vanilla ice cream,
okay.
little
All right.
sprinkles.
So I'm a huge carrot cake nerd. Like
Okay.
absolutely. Like every fishing trip I go on, right? Like well, if there's a restaurant or a cafe in that town or that place that has carrot cake, I'm gonna be all over it. So I think that it's it's been amazing to me. It's been a learning experience for me. Um, with so many of the men that I work with that are having immense professional success, right? Guys that are doing multiple six figures and they're frustrated and they're angry because their wife or their kids not giving them affirmation and they want that affirmation, but they
Yeah.
won't give it to themselves, right? And so I see it as like a great setup, a great piece of carrot cake. Like the body of the cake itself is me, it's my life, it's everything I do. And that perfect amount of cream cheese frosting, ideally, in a perfect world, should be my own affirmation that completes the whole piece of cake for me. Right. But there's this one particular restaurant, it's actually in Colorado that I go to, that does the perfect cake, that does the frosting, and I would love that, right? I could do all that for myself ideally, but they also drizzle it with caramel, right? And so in an ideal situation, and I get to the why here in a sec, but in an ideal
No,
situation,
you just
really,
keep talking about caramel, and I'm gonna be just fine. I can do this shit all day long.
You described
I'm
that
sitting
so
over here
well.
drooling. I got a little
you
mini chubby.
fantasize
Yeah.
I am
dessert-
like ready for cheese. I start like in
dessert
my mind. I'm like,
fantasies.
who's got good carrot cake close by here? When we get
Right,
done, I'm
dude.
straight to the carrot cake shop. But anyway, keep going. So yeah, we got caramel on that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So when you, as a man, are able to give yourself your own affirmation and actually value it, right? Not just like, yeah, kind of, sort of, but when we realize that if we're being truthful with ourselves, we know as the person that we know how much effort, how much commitment we put into the things that we do personally, whether that's working on becoming the husband that we want to be, the dad, our businesses, right? And so in truth, our affirmation for ourselves has more validity to it and value should, because we actually know, right? The people outside of us, even if they love us, they don't know. So I should be able to build that carrot cake, that perfect cake, that icing. And then if I get affirmation from my wife, like I love affirmation from my wife. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Right. That's my caramel drizzle. Like that'll make it that much better. But I'm going to eat the shit out of that carrot cake with my own cake, my own frosting.
Yeah.
It makes you more stable in your professional efforts, right? Because you're validating what you're doing and it actually counts. It makes you a more stable dad and a much more, I think, effective, stable, and competent husband because you're a strong pillar, right? Like when things you're not dependent upon your wife to like make you stronger, to make you stable. You can love it and you can love that affirmation and add it onto your cake, but it's not a dependency thing to where it creates almost a weakness in your role as a husband because you're constantly longing for her to tell you you're doing a good job when you could build your own cake and then have her caramel drizzle on top of it too and enjoy that as well, but
Yeah.
it's not a requirement for you to feel good about what you're doing as a man.
I think that there's 2 things that I know that I've struggled with and I've seen other men struggle with, and the first one is we get where we're going oftentimes by, like, through self-hate
Yeah.
and through, like, "You're not good enough. You need to be
Mhm.
more. You need to push more." Um, and then the other one is that it I think when men as you what you described as a guy that is happy independently, or he's happy outside of what anybody else thinks, so to speak.
Right.
But it's hard for guys to do that without using kind of anger or
Mm.
kind of a "fuck you" mentality, because they get there by going, "You know what? Fuck you guys. I'm gonna win anyway. I don't care." You know what I mean? I got haters, you see it all the time, right?
Right.
I got haters, you look at like a Michael Jordan who he's like just looking for somebody, and here I am comparing us men to Michael Jordan, who's like
Right.
the GOAT, but he what how he describes himself is how a lot of men, especially men that are trying to kind of push those boundaries a little bit,
Right.
if it's entrepreneurially or from a fitness side or whatever it is, that they end up with that mentality of like, I'm gonna do it despite everybody else, you
Right.
know what I mean? And so they end up creating kind of an island out of themselves.
Yeah.
And it's pretty hard to love on that island because they're sitting way, way, way out there.
Mhm.
And when you do that, it's hard for your wife to drizzle the caramel on top.
Right.
So I think it's the challenge really I've always found is like, how do you do that? How do you become like in a way, I'm gonna make my own cake, I'm gonna put my own frosting, but I'm still gonna remain vulnerable and I'm still gonna
Right.
remain close because I think we tend to kind of push ourselves out and out and out and away in order to do that in a safe place, in a
Right.
safe way where nobody can hurt me because I'm
Right.
not connected to anybody. Because, then you got to do that self work of that emotional intelligence piece where you go,
Right.
I'm going to be happy with myself. Also, I'm going to be vulnerable. I'm going to be open. I'm going to be accessible to people, and they're going
Mhm.
to see my shit along the way. And so, how do how do you kind of build that cake and then also stay kind of close and connected too? Because I think we isolate a lot in order to build that cake because it feels safe, right?
Yeah. No, those are huge questions, and I think I'm obviously biased with the work that I do, but
Yeah.
the quality of your sounds like a cheesy counselor coach thing to say, but the quality of your emotional health and your emotional strength and wellness, and not the words like master and control when it comes to emotion, I think come across as like forcing or containing or pushing back, but
Yeah.
really more harnessing the emotions that you have, right? Looking at them as collaborative forces in your life that can help pull you forward to what you need to be. That really is going to, I think, dictates the success in the other areas of your life.
Yeah.
But it's the hardest area for most men to go to, right?
Yeah.
I think for a lot, it's different story for all of us, right? But raised in male culture, especially here in the Rocky Mountain West, especially depending on your family, right? Like emotions were things to be turned away from, they're things to be hidden, they're things to not be talked about, right?
For
But
sure. Yeah.
the truth in it is there is this beautiful power and strength. It takes so much more. This is, and I love the Michael Jordan analogy that you went to, but this is the irony of it is like it takes so much more strength and courage to actually look toward, face, and embrace your emotions than it ever will to hide them and move away from them, right? And one
Yeah.
of the simple, like little first exercise that I give to guys on the affirmation side of things is I ask them to go and I ask them to find a mirror 2 times a day, right? And I'll give them like a yeah, I'll give them
We've asked this question quite a few times on the
right,
podcast. Are
right,
you proud? You look in the mirror. Are you proud?
right. Well, and then that, and I'll give them like just a simple like starter statement, like I choose to value my own affirmation, or it's something along the lines customized to that guy.
Yeah.
But when to actually
That gives me the
pause,
like little fucking like shiveries.
right? To make
I'm like,
when's the last time you made eye contact with yourself?
bro, no, I don't like it. I'm already,
Yeah,
when you're 46 years old, Tyrell, you're not there yet. You get tired of seeing your face in your own damn face in the mirror. You know what I mean? I look in there, I'm like, I have looked at this son of a bitch for 46 years.
right,
You know what I mean? And so, yeah, you don't make as much eye contact. You're just like, you're kind of tired of your own bullshit sometimes already as it is,
right,
So then to look in there and like, I'm going to give you a positive message, buddy.
right.
Um,
Yeah,
no,
it's
that sounds really
uncomfortable.
hard. Yeah.
It is hard. It's a challenge, right?
Yeah.
starting with baby steps, but
What
that
would that first baby step be for us rookies over here?
I mean,
Like
in terms of the
like the Saturday
affirmation,
Night Live, like, what's his name? And he's like, "I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and I'm strong enough," and all of that. I'm gonna make fun of it because I know it's true. I know it
yeah,
would work, and
yeah.
also, like, it makes me feel a little awkward.
What would you be most afraid of happening if you actually moved forward and did that one time, once a day, looked at yourself in the
My
mirror?
my son walking in and seeing me do it,
All right.
and then also it's probably the best thing that could happen too at the same time,
Yeah.
is that he could see me being positive 'cause,
Right.
even today, like, he's leaving the house and I'm like, "Dude, you're gonna be freaking awesome." You know what I mean? Like, "Dude, trust me." I was like I told him this morning, I was like, "If you believed in you as much as I believe in you, you'd walk out this door standing really tall."
Yeah.
You know? And then you realize you think about that with your own self and you go, "What if I told myself that?"
Right.
You know? So I know I'm contradicting myself, I get it, but I'm just gonna admit that it feels weird, it feel awkward to me.
Yeah. And
What's the worst that could happen?
it's
Nothing,
okay.
man. Just positive, all good.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah. I think too, like with what you alluded to earlier in terms of there so so many. I'd be curious because I know the success that you guys have had in business and the number of guys that
right.
you work for you and then interact with you. So many men feeling like lacking purpose, right, in their lives, even though maybe they're killing it professionally, the numbers are there, right? The
Yeah,
dollars are there. That working to get to become okay with being vulnerable with your emotions, right, allows you to connect with other people, right, in different ways and have so much more of an impact and purpose in the life that you live because other people relate to it, right? Like it is
mm,
scary and awkward to look yourself in the mirror to give yourself that affirmation, right?
yeah,
And to see other men or know at least another man that has started to take those steps and to
yeah,
work through that process will give guys courage and the ability to step out and to step forward in that process. But when you become vulnerable and when you start to actually acknowledge and work with your emotions, you connect with people on a completely different level. You can lead people in a way because I think there's an authenticity that comes with it
right.
that changes when you're able to start to kind of break down those walls in yourself and take a look at some of that stuff that's harder to look at.
Bro, you said like 1,000 things that I wanna grab onto, but, there's a couple things, the most recent thing as you were talking that hit me was, I've gone through some of that with my spouse after having the cancer and stuff and kind of opening up about like insecurity and some vulnerability.
Yeah,
As a man, there's nothing that'll make you more insecure than wearing a diaper and your dick not working as well as it used to.
right,
Those are two things that'll make you feel vulnerable as hell. You
right.
know what I mean? And and she's used to what are we at? 25 years now together. I mean, she's used to me just kind of like taking care of my shit.
Mhm,
Like I don't come to her with emotions. And luckily for me, I've got brothers, men and actual brothers that are close to me that we can be kind of open. And we've always been pretty real with each other.
right,
Um, but it was interesting to see how it affected it not negatively, but it was a shift. I'll say it was a shift in my marriage of me kind of being vulnerable. And for 25 years,
mm,
I've never done that with her. You know what I mean? We've gone through some stuff together,
right,
and I've always been the one that holds it. Like I hold it, I eat it, you choose a class, you go to the weight room, you smash some weights,
right,
you come back in, it's good. I took, you know what I mean? Like I took care of it,
right,
right? Hey, there's a dead rabbit in the backyard. I took care of it. And so it is, I think that's a hard one too. I'm seeing now is just going like, not just yourself, but if you've got a spouse that's so used to you just being the man, quote unquote,
right.
and then you go, hey, I'm going to try this vulnerability thing. I think us guys need to be ready for them not to know what to do with that for a little bit,
Yeah,
right? Because
yeah,
you've always been that hard ass, I mean, country boy grow up, like, that's that whole saying, like, you know, cry like, cry in your truck, you know what I mean?
right,
Don't bring it in, or, you know what I mean? Just be a man. That whole, like you see it on Instagram, there was that getting passed around for all, be a man, you know
right.
what I mean? And it's just, it's an interesting thought I had there. So is I think that's one thing that I've seen just in my personal life is just, you're gonna get as you get older, especially you're gonna get some forced vulnerability that
Yes.
happens in there.
Mhm,
Um, but but yeah, I think that just I do want to kind of not pull away from that idea of us creating ourselves as an island, in order to accomplish our goals. And we think that we have built our own cake, but
right.
I don't think we really have. Like, what would you rename that? Because I think what you described as build your own cake is a connected thing. It's like, "Hey, I'm here, and I'm good. I'm good with myself, and
Right.
also I'm open to be in love and loving." Because 'cause I've seen a lot of entrepreneurial men, they'll accomplish great things
Mhm.
on an island by
Mhm.
themselves, disconnected from both their friends, their employees, their wife, their kids,
Right.
and they look and they go, "Look at the castle I built on this island." And you go, "Yeah, but, uh, you're all alone in that fucking thing,"
Right.
you know? And they think they've built the cake, but I really don't think they have.
Well, I think, I mean, I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on this. I think we're intended for brotherhood as men, right?
Absolutely.
And I'm 1,000% guilty early on with entrepreneurial stuff of wanting to be a lone wolf,
Yeah.
trying to do it on my own,
Oh, yeah.
right? And really realistically, like for me, and even in that state though, right? Like even when you've had what you think is that, like what you said, when you think you've had that independent success and you think you've built this castle by yourself, right? If you're truly honest and you call your own bullshit and you look back at the people that have helped you along the way, the people that have helped you get there, the wife that when you were in lockdown, no vulnerability, none of that stuff was there by your side the entire time, right? There's always been people,
Oh, for sure, dude.
but even for I don't know, for me, it's been probably realistically the last probably like 4 or 5 years where I've made, which is it was really uncomfortable. I don't. It's severely uncomfortable at first to want to reach out outside of myself,
Yeah.
right? To get past some of these started for me as like business and dollar amounts and targets that I wanted to get to that I couldn't get past, right? And I
Yeah.
knew other people had the answers that I didn't. And the depth and the quality, the distance, right? The distance moved in so much shorter of an amount of time by actively looking to connect with other men,
Mhm.
personally, friendships, business wise, right? Coaching programs for myself, right? And people that knew what I did and it could take me there. It's there's a level of richness and fulfillment that when you do get to that height or you build another castle or you even have your own castle, that the quality of it can still be there. You can have everything. You can still have your big ass castle. You can have a bigger castle, but have your brothers there with you
Yep.
is the quality that's not even comparable to that whole like everybody is my enemy. I'm on my own island. I want to do this by myself and I'm only doing this by myself.
Yeah. You create your own little kingdom of one,
Right.
you know what I mean? And it serves nobody
Right.
but yourself.
Right.
And guys can get their heads pretty deep into that, and then they wake up one day and they realize, like, you know, "I'm all alone in this." What was
Right.
the not Tom Hanks, it was Kevin Costner, one of his many, many baseball movies where he's a pitcher and it's kinda flashing back between, his current day.
Well,
He's
for love of the game,
For Love of the Game, which is I probably watched that movie 20
best sports
times.
movie.
Oh
One,
god, I love
one
it.
of.
It is. But there's a moment where I think he pitches a no-hitter and he's laying in the hotel room by himself,
Right.
you know? And it really lays that out well, like, that idea of, like, greatest as a pitcher, greatest moment of your life, and then you go to bed alone, you
Yeah.
know? And honestly, unfortunately, sometimes greatness does require that kind of level of singularity and sacrifice,
Right.
but I don't believe that that's true for most of what most of us men are doing
No.
daily. I think that, I've worked really hard, and Tyrell can tell you, I've worked really hard to really create a tribe of men around what we're trying to do, and now I like teams, I'm a team guy, I'm a partner guy,
Right.
which causes all kinds of problems, all kinds of headaches. It's hard to manage. It's hard to
Right.
manage relationships. Even as brothers, we've had to work hard to kind of, when you work with your brother, people say, "How can you do a family-owned business?" And it's like, I get it. Like, we run into the same things that they would run into that are hard,
Right.
but then you have to, like, look each other in the eye and go, "We got this," because it can do the same. It can bring you equally close too. Most people see the bad side that it takes you apart.
Right.
But I think if you choose to walk together and do it together, whether it's your actual brother or just a good friend,
Right.
you put yourself in a hard situation, it can bring you really close to each other.
Mhm.
An entrepreneurship in general has done that for me with my wife and I. Is like we've had to go through the shit together. We've had to go to where we lose. You lose $1 million in a 2 year span together, and you go, okay, you're going to know really quickly. You know what I mean? If you want to, like the people say, you want to figure out if you love each other, not remodel a house together. Well, try owning multiple businesses together, and
Yeah.
you know what I mean. Having your personal checking account also fund a business. It makes you resilient as a couple for sure.
Right. But that resiliency builds a different level of love and quality. It's a place you never get to in isolation, right? Like
100%,
there's
man.
levels that you just absolutely can't get to
Mhm.
if you're not willing to go through that. Like, so there's a place that I go backpacking to every summer, right? My favorite place in the entire state of Wyoming for
How's the
backpacking
fishing?
trips. Is horrible.
Yeah.
No,
I'm gonna need that. Let's talk more
yeah,
about that
that's funny.
trailhead.
So it's
Let's talk about the trailhead. And this
it's
is a gear podcast, so I need to know what gear I'm gonna put in my
yeah,
backpack too.
yeah.
Specifically a fly box.
I'll drop you a pin and drop everybody watching a pin. For
Everybody watching
sure.
gets a pin
Yeah,
and a
yeah.
list of
That's
flies.
right.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah, it's called the Miracle Mile.
Fuck off. There's no fish there either.
But no, so it's a long hike for me at least. It's about 10 miles into a really steep vertical climb that goes off trail. The vertical climbs, I don't know, it's probably like 1,200 feet, right?
Perfect.
So nice solid 10-mile hike, right? 1,200 feet up. And then
No
there's
fish.
there's a whole bunch of lakes, right? And they all have fish in them, right?
Yeah.
All fish, all really pretty fish.
Yeah.
But the better fish are like 2 or 3 miles back in, right? So there's like 7 or 8 lakes, and if you really get to like lakes 6, 7, and 8, like that's where your bigger fish are going to be. And last year I was there with a friend, and we packed in all the way to the climb. We go up over the climb, and once you go through the really difficult steep climb,
Yeah.
it's pretty chill up top.
Right.
Like there's a little bit of incline, but you can I could take my 75-year-old dad up there if I could get him up there and he could stroll. So we set up camp up there about halfway up. So it's really easy for us. We put in that work, right? We got through that nasty climb, spend 3 days up there. Easy for us to get up to like 6, 7, 8 back in there. And there were 2 guys for the 3 days that we were there, and they camped at the bottom of the incline, right? Because they didn't want to carry their backpacks up over the incline, right?
Yep.
So every morning they would get up, right? And they would climb up, and they would be exhausted by the time they got to the top of the climb,
Yeah.
right? And so they'd fish the bottom, first, second, maybe third, fourth lake,
Right.
and go back down again.
Right.
Next day they get up, work their asses off, come all the way back up the climb, right? 1,200 feet up, fish, they're tired. By day 3, they're exhausted, right? Because they've been doing this 3 days in a row,
Yeah.
right? On day 3, one of them actually slips and falls, and takes like a 75 to 100-foot fall digger like on his face down these rock walls, right? Big collapse, big fall, because he's so exhausted and he's so worn out, right? So not only, like when we talk about getting through those really challenging, difficult times to experience that richness, right? Not
Right.
only did they never actually get to the
Lake
really
number
good stuff,
7,
right?
right.
Because they didn't want to put out that extra little bit of effort, right? To
Yeah.
deal with that shittiness, that 45 minutes of a pack on your back going up, that incline. But they were so worn out and so exhausted
Yeah.
that they suffered even more on the backside of it,
Yeah.
coming back down. So it's that idea of like, yeah, it's I see so many men not want to deal with the short-term discomfort to reap that reward, when in reality they're just slowly moving toward brutal, horrible, awful long-term pain that's going to be
Mhm.
so much more significant than like, yeah, I need to have this conversation with my wife. Yeah, I need to start working on myself, right? I
Right.
can feel myself going the wrong way and I'm not dealing with it. That minor short-term discomfort of those initial little climbs, so much more insignificant than what they're actually headed toward, and the reward and richness and beauty of what's on the other side of it, well worth the slight discomfort.
Right. And I think that there's sort of a velocity required. It's like taking off a plane, right? There's like a launch velocity required to
Right.
kind of get off the ground or get over that first ridge, kind of that motivation of, like, because what's in lake number 7,
Right.
like you're willing to haul your shit up there.
Yeah.
They may never have made it to lake number 7 because
No.
they've never quite taken that first time of that extreme amount of energy, whether it's starting a business. Tyrel's in transition from a professional standpoint now, and he's getting ready to have to require a lot of extra kind of launch velocity out of that. It's that energy to get over that first hump, and a lot of guys aren't really willing to do that. And it's this time of year when guys are thinking about, okay, I'm gonna get my shit back together. I'm gonna get my fitness. You know what I mean? And it's like the first 2 weeks or 3 weeks, you're gonna be sore as hell.
Mhm.
Life's gonna suck. You're not gonna want to get up early. But week number 4, now you're there, and now it's a habit again,
Right.
right? Or it's a business. And I'm, we've started multiple businesses, and I think if somebody said, "Do you want to start another one from scratch today?" I would say, "Hell no." Like, I'm tired, but that's only because, I've done it a number of times, and I'm not. It's not really necessary from a new business standpoint,
Mhm.
but in that business world, it does. There are times when you go, okay, I'm gonna have to really, when as you get older, you go, okay, I've done this a lot of times. It was like my fourth season trying out for the Olympics. Like once you know just how hard you're getting ready to
Yeah.
it's like a trail you've hiked a lot, and where we go hunting quite a bit. There's a couple trails where we know, okay, as soon as we turn right at that sign, you're in for 2 hours of hell,
Right.
you know? And, every year I get done, I go, "Fuck this place, I'm not coming up here again."
Right.
And then kind of like July comes around and I forget the pain and I go, "Okay, I'm gonna do it again because it's worth it because I know I'm gonna be up there alone."
Right.
Nobody else fishing with me or nobody else hunting with me, but I think it's something important for guys to know is, like, there is that kind of initial velocity you need to get off the ground a little bit
Mm.
that it's gonna suck,
Yeah.
you know? And it could be in your marriage, right? You
Yeah.
might have to rip some Band-Aids off and go,
Right.
"Hey, we're gonna say some things to each other that, that hurt," especially if you've been married for a long time, 20 years for me, 25 together, and, you can hurt each other a lot in 25 years.
Right.
It's all those little tiny things that
Yeah.
they can come bubbling back up, but
Death of a thousand cuts.
yeah, but I think that, I think that's a great example of, getting out, getting over that first ridge, you know, um, and what you get to see once you've gotten there,
Right.
and how easy it is, and how do you maybe how does a guy know how do you teach a guy? How do you encourage him to go, "Hey, there's lake number 7 back there, dude.
Right.
You just gotta do the work." And he goes, "I already did the work. I already climbed, I've already climbed a
Right.
lot." And you go, "Yeah, but just a little bit more." How does a guy know when he's almost just a little bit more, right? That story of, like, digging for gold and
Right.
you're 2 days away from that gold vein and then you stop, right?
Well, I think the knowing how far away you are definitely differs, right? Because
Mhm.
every dude's situation is different depending on whether it's been 6 rough months in their marriage or
Yeah,
16 rough years, right? But
yeah.
I think initially it's so important for them to get a taste of it,
Mhm.
and I think there's a spectrum, right? I think that up front, giving a guy the right tools and tactics to be able to get a little bit of a taste of that, to have that hope, right? To
Mm.
be able to see a little bit of it. Ultimately, we want to move toward like that decision to change the identity of who you are as a man, right?
Right.
But that's a big leap, right? It's like, I mean, I know a lot of your audience is hunters, right?
Yeah.
And the first time that you were a kid and either somebody talked to you about it or you hadn't gone hunting yet, right? Like you didn't even necessarily know like what to do with your clothes, how to keep the scent off of them. What do you even do with a bow? Like how do you notch like the tools and tactics have to be there. You had a taste of the experience, and then at
Right.
some point you made a decision of like I'm a hunter,
Yeah.
and then it built and it grew from there, right?
Right.
And without the right tools and tactics to start with to give them a positive taste, it can feel overwhelming, it can feel hopeless. I
Right.
was about 12 years ago now, I was down at the end of a little 2-track in the mountains camping, and my kids were little at the time, and not I like to get away from stuff, so it wasn't a campground, and we
Mhm.
go to sleep, and, like, probably 2 in the morning, I start to hear some pots and pans kinda move, right? And I've spent my entire life in the mountains, so I've had raccoons and foxes and all kinds of stuff come in,
Yeah.
and didn't think anything of it, and then pretty soon some of the bigger stuff started to really move, and
You
so
hear
you're
your
like
cooler going down the
you're
road.
listening to it, and you can hear it, like, changing distance and changing location, and so I'm awake, and at the time, for whatever reason, right, I'd never had a negative experience, never had a bear experience, and I didn't have a gun with me. Right? The only thing I had in the tent was this cheesy little, like, 2-foot hatchet to chop up, like, firewood and kindling.
Great. Yeah.
So I'm like, "I think it's a bear, but I'm not sure it's a bear." Right? I feel a little bit unsettled, and pretty soon I started to hear big, soft, padded footsteps going around the tent, and
Oh,
I'm
shit.
like, "This thing's gonna get bored, right? It'll leave." Like, I don't know what it is. I assume it's a black bear, but it could be either. I don't really know. It's Wyoming, and it just keeps pacing and keeps
And you've
pacing.
got your kids in the
Yeah, I
okay.
got,
That
I
changes
have, like, a 1.5-year-old
everything.
and a 5-year-old in
That
the
changes
tent. I
everything.
have no gun, I have no real weapon, right? And it stops, and I can see its nose press into the tent fabric, and it exhales, and I can feel the heat and the steam come across my face,
Fuck.
Freaking hell.
and it starts pacing again, and I'm like, "What am I gonna do?" And
Isn't it
so
stupid how we feel safe inside
yeah,
like little
you're right.
tiny, like nothing
2
piece
mil
of fabric?
2 millimeters
We're
of
like, yeah, but
nylon.
I'm safe in here.
I did not feel safe at that
A
point.
human burrito.
Right.
Yeah, you're like pre-wrapped and
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
dude, so you got your kids. I've always been really scared of that. Actually,
Yeah.
taking my kids out. I've rarely taken them into the wilderness without like a buddy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because it scares me for that reason.
Right. And so we're there, right?
You're
And
in your little tiny hatchet.
pretty soon the bear stops at the vestibule of the tent. And I can hear the vestibule material start to tear because the bear's starting to claw into it. And
Okay.
I mean, you've been in tents, right? Like most of your audience here is outdoor guys. And so in my mind, I'm like, that bear can't get into the vestibule because if it feels trapped in any way, shape, or form, or even comes in there, like there's
Mhm.
literally a mesh net between me and my family, right? So I have the hatchet and I hear that bear coming in, knowing that, like in my mind, not really knowing what's going to happen, right? So I throw the fly open. I start screaming and yelling. I grab this cheesy ass little hatchet, which doesn't really make me feel safe at all. I run
Yep.
screaming at the bear, zip the fly open, chase the bear. Thankfully, right? Grace of God, bear runs into the woods, right? Super dark though. It's not a campground. There's no stars out. So I can't really tell where the bear is, right? It's just, I can see like probably 40 or 50 feet into the trees, and that's it. Pretty dense timber. So I go back into the tent and I'm like, I got to get my kids up. I got to get him in the car. I got to get my wife. I couldn't even get those thoughts through my head. The bear is back at the outside of the tent and it's actually like hitting the side of the tent with its paws.
What?
Yeah. So I run back out the tent with the hatchet. I sprint. I'm screaming at the bear again. Bear runs off. Black bear, thankfully, not grizzly bear.
Yeah.
Right. Probably would have been a completely different outcome. Right. Runs off into the trees, stays far enough away at that point in time, or at least I can't see it, to where I can get the kids into the car, light up a big bonfire, right? I had a Springer Spaniel in the car, so I let the dog out. He can bark and do his thing. But that, not having the right tools and the right tactics made that situation feel so ridiculously overwhelming. It took me 3 or 4 years before I could sleep in a tent again, and it's still kinda always on my mind a little bit.
Yeah.
Whereas if I have, even in that situation, right? If I have a gun, if I have bear spray, if I have the right tools and somebody's shown me how to use them, my whole mentality, my whole stress level, like the hopefulness of working through that situation, right, is so much different. So I think that if a guy's relationship is on fire, right? Like really common for whatever reason, we as dudes, we like to wait till shit goes really wrong before we do anything about it.
Yeah.
So if a guy is coming to me in relationships, like she's talking about divorce now, so now I'm going to do something about it.
Yeah.
Right. Giving him a basic initial tool to, like, hey, this is going to help you manage your emotional state through the day, right? This is something that now you can start to do to like open up that communication with her to see some of the benefit, to be like, okay, like this is possible. Like I can start to walk through this process. I think that initial hope and that initial guidance of having the right tools and tactics up front is a really important first step to getting them on that journey to like, I can get to this new identity, but dude, I'm not there yet. Like I need some hope and I need some right tools to start that process.
What is that? Like what's a good tool and tactic? A guy comes back and says, my marriage is, you know what I mean?
Right. So
We're on the edge here.
Right. So big thing, right? Because relationships are tough. So the first thing I always start with is the dude's internal emotional state, because throughout, obviously, when you get to that point at work, at home, I mean, you're just this, right? Like emotional roller coaster all over the place. For that side, like super, super simple exercise, right? I'll give them like a 3-part system, right? I'll be like, okay, we talked about this when I came to muster, right? It seems cheesy, it's simple, but it's a really effective, like step 1 tool.
Right.
Like, hey, we're going to check your posture, right? Like, and when you start to feel anything less helpful, your anxiety, your frustration, your anger, you're going to intentionally put your shoulders, your chest, and your chin up. That's you using your body to tell your brain, hey, like, I got this.
Yeah.
Right. You're going to roll like a quick positive memory, not as like a magical think happy thoughts, but you're going to break that pattern. I don't know how it is for you guys, but usually if I'm anxious, I'm thinking about what's making me anxious, right? If I'm angry, I'm focused on that.
Yeah.
And then we get down to the self-talk, which is just, I give them one simple question.
Yeah.
And I give them like, how can I learn or grow from this? Right. Or what else could this mean? Something that helps them find a neutral or a positive
Mm.
answer in that moment.
That's good because what we focus on, we will get, right? Like,
Yes.
it's
Yes.
like I remember I was looking actually through pictures on Facebook last night. My wife and I were trying to find Tyrel sent a video of him pulling his daughter's tooth. And so me and Andrea were looking through Facebook to find I did it with a pair of pliers when our daughter, her first tooth, and came across a post I had put with her mountain biking when she was young and me trying to be like, have some wisdom, and being a dork. But I remember teaching her when we were riding, I said, Court, if you look at the big rock on the side of the trail, you'll hit it.
Right.
Like you look at it in a sense to avoid it. But something about us, our body, it's like if you focus on the rocks on the side of the trail you don't want to hit, like you're gonna hit them.
Right.
I was like, look down the trail, look 25 yards in front of you or 15 yards in front of you where you want to be. And your body just knows, don't hit the big rock on the right side.
Right.
I said, just trust me, girl. Cause she just was like, I could ride behind her. I could literally see her like, oh shit, big rock, wham, she'd hit it. I'm like, you got to stop looking at those big rocks, girl. Like you'll just run. I don't know. I can't tell you why, but that's how us humans work. And I
Yeah.
think it's the same. You're exactly right with that thing that causes the stress or the anxiety or the fear. You focus on it and you're just going to get more of it.
Yeah. Right. It becomes a lens. It becomes, it's
Mhm.
like, it's like I buy a brand new silver truck and now all of a sudden I start seeing silver trucks everywhere.
Everywhere,
Right. It's that
dude.
natural, like
Yep.
human response of like this, that's the lens that I
Yeah.
start to focus on
Yeah.
and see the world through. I just see more and more and more of it. Right.
Right. So you pull from a memory then. So
Mhm.
you,
Yeah. So go ahead.
Yeah. So just stopping that as quickly as possible,
Yeah.
and
It's
then let's get somewhere else quickly.
yes. Well, it's shifting areas in your brain that you're actually using, right? So, like that amygdala, that fear center, the anxiety, right? The frustration, the anger.
Mhm.
The brain is not good at being there and then using the cortex to actually answer a question. So, you're giving it that question of like, hey, what else could this mean? Or how could I learn to
Yeah.
grow from this? And it's pulling you out of that emotional center of your brain. And well, you'll work with it and we think about it as guys and they'll be like, oh, this feels awkward. But we already do all this, right? If we videotaped you or we videotaped me, like frustrated, anxious, or angry, like I'm already doing something with my body. I'm already
Yeah.
focused on something.
Yeah.
I'm already talking about something in my head, saying something or asking myself questions. And it's a simple like retraining mechanism of like,
Mhm.
dude, we do this. We're just going to do this in a way that's going to start moving you toward where you want to be with your wife, where you want to be with
Right.
yourself.
So you said it's 3 phases. This just remind me because I'm full of shit and I'm
Yeah.
talking over here. But number 1 was
Essentially, it's posture, focus, and self-talk, right? So I'm gonna
okay.
intentionally shift my posture, like, "Hey, I
Yeah.
just shot the biggest elk of my life,"
Yeah.
right? Head up, chest up, big, bold
Right.
posture, right? Go to that positive memory, like, "Hey, maybe biggest fish I've ever caught, the day my kid was born," right? Something
Yeah.
that breaks that pattern and that
Yes.
you have planned before you start to feel the anxiety or
Yeah.
the anger, right?
Yeah.
Not in the moment, because it
Yeah.
never works in the moment. It's just like shooting your bow, here in your backyard,
Yeah.
thousands of times before you actually go do it in the real world.
Yep.
And then you go to the question like, "Hey, how can I learn and grow from this?"
Right.
And it doesn't have to be like a
Mhm.
bubbly, positive answer. It can be neutral. It can be meh, and that's okay,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's all right. That's okay too, you know?
But if you enter into that, like I did this really similar practice for years with, and it's a long time ago now, but it was like my 2008 Olympic trial moment where I'm sitting on the warm up bench and I feel as ready as I've ever been for anything.
Right,
And you could just run through a brick wall, right? So
right,
it was kind of anchoring me. I would go all the way back to like, what was the most powerful moment you ever felt in your life,
right.
right? So somebody that's been, you in the army and you had some victories in that space and you go, okay, that moment right there, I'm going to pull from that moment
Mm,
because it's interesting, but whatever energy was in me came from me. It wasn't external. It
right.
wasn't my wife or a friend or a buddy or anybody else handing me anything. That was mine.
Yeah.
And so it's like that exists in me still, right? So go find that pull from it was what my mentality was. So yeah. So kind of pulling into that moment again.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
feel it. Allow
Yeah.
yourself to feel it.
And then enter into that situation.
Yep.
Um, interesting. And then if the situation's still dog shit, then what? You
If the
know?
situation in terms of, like, the conversation with your wife goes
Sure, a
south.
conversation with your wife or, if it's in business like that lawsuit, like, "Oh, yeah, your posture is really good, but that fucking lawsuit's still there." You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, some things in the moment you're not gonna be able to make better, some things you're
right.
not gonna be able to make happy, right? Sometimes the best thing in those situations is to be able to maintain that baseline or maintain that even keel to live
Yeah.
to talk to your wife another day, right?
Yeah.
Not say
You
the
don't
thing
say
that
something
you're
horrible.
not say
Right,
the
Yeah.
thing
right.
that you don't wanna say, to have enough.
So it's not always having the perfect net result. It might just
Right.
be stopping, 0 might be a pretty damn good place to be
Yeah,
at that point
right.
instead of negative,
Don't make a
is what I'm
withdrawal,
guessing.
right? That
Yeah.
even keel, that being able to walk out of the room, right? Because that cheesy little triangle system, right, of keeping you hopefully a little bit more emotional stable, giving you the clarity
Yeah.
to not do the dumb things, right? To not, whether it's an illegal situation, say something stupid in a negotiation, right? Provide information you don't want to provide the other
Yeah.
side. Say
I did
stuff.
that.
Did you?
I popped off on a guy once like, "Fuck you, sue me then." And sure as shit, he fucking sued me.
Yeah.
You know you know what I mean?
Right.
And I was like,
It's that.
"God, dude, if" and you're right, had I taken a different posture, in that moment and gone, "Hey, we can work this out. Like, there's a solution here. I know you're heated right now,
Right.
and I'm heated right now, and you called me an asshole, I called you an asshole, and I" you know what I mean?
Right.
I popped off, right? And so it's, lessons learned in the business world now, like, we were going through a practice yesterday in a kind of a CEO leadership kind of mentor peer group, and it was talking about, like, on this grid of, like, things that, different people in the company can say,
Yeah.
right? And it was like this question, can you or your right-hand man or whoever, can they speak to the lawyer? And my answer was like, they can't even say lawyer. They can't even say the word lawyer. You know what I mean? Because you learn. But it would be the same in your marriage, right? You go, you can't even say that word, divorce being one of them, right?
Right.
Unless you want to start some shit.
Yeah. There's some unspeakables,
Yeah.
right? There's
And
things you can't say because
it takes a lot of work to,
really hard.
because you never ever forget that. And
Right.
so I think that's great. I mean, I think you're right. Maybe the net result isn't you found the solution, but you also sometimes just not making it kind of cool hand Luke, right? Sometimes
Right.
nothing is a pretty good hand, right? And
Absolutely.
that's okay to be okay with that. I think us
Yes.
men always want to fix everything
Yes.
right away.
Right.
And so it's like, hey, this is going to be a 0, but I'm not going to make it worse.
Right. Well, it's that idea of maintaining is gaining in
Yeah.
all areas,
Mhm.
whether it's your physique, whether it's your business, whether it's your relationship, right? If I don't backslide, right? If I don't
Mhm.
lose ground, if I don't make a withdrawal, if we got a guy going up a staircase and things get really and crazy and chaotic and he's got to stay on that same stair for a couple days or weeks or months,
Right.
when chaos subsides or as it gets better, he's still there, right? He's
Rather
still
than
on there.
exhaust himself on day 3
Right,
and
right.
fall off
He
a
didn't
cliff.
slide down the
Exactly.
rock face, right? He's
Yeah.
Yeah.
still there. So all he's gotta do is start climbing again as long as he can maintain where he's at during the process. Doesn't
Right.
have to be a win, just has to be a maintain, and that
Right.
that is a win.
When it comes to like relationships and two individuals, two humans too, it's like that maintaining might be the only place you're going to be because there's two sides to this story, right?
Yes, dude.
So you're fixing yourself. I'm going to be good emotionally into this, but you can't control the other half of that story, maybe.
Yeah.
And so
No,
that's where it's like this isn't my time.
right.
I'm on this
Yeah.
stair, I guess, right?
Yeah. Well, and
But
even
we always get the problem is staying in that and not following them into that emotional trap or whatever.
Yeah.
and for you, Tyrell, where you're at with kids, just, you've got, where you at, like 7 and 4 or something now?
Yep.
I mean, there are years of your marriage where it's hard to recognize the progress you're making, where you
Yeah,
go
I get that.
you know what I mean? Where you go like, we aren't gonna make any great strides here together because our primary focus is these 2 children. And we hope to get, I don't know, when you have young kids, and you don't have somebody watching those kids all weekend for you like some people do, like, if you can get an hour with your spouse, you know what I mean? A couple, 2, 3, 4 times a week, that would be a lot, you
Yeah.
know? It's a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's that like seeing in the mirror that growth. It's like you got to change the mindset a little bit of like, we're not winning, right? Well, we're not. I don't know. We're not bringing home a trophy right now.
Yeah, there's
We're
not
going through. We're grinding. This is building phase. I don't know, but that's tough, right? Because it's like we're the worst parents. X, Y, Z happens.
Right.
Um, and you only, it's your first time dealing with these things, and then you're like, no one else on the outside probably deals with this, so we're the problem or whatever.
and
And
then
it's like
you
everyone's
and then you
probably dealing
realize
with
they
it. You're,
are.
you're dealing with humans, so it's like every day it's not going to be the same.
It's a lot like when you talked about talking to peers in the business space, but the same with parents, like, I always tell Andrea, I'm like, "Go ahead and call a couple of your friends," like, if, one of the kids is acting like an idiot and you feel like, "I'm the worst parent in the world. If I was a good parent, these kids wouldn't be acting this way." I'm
Right.
like, just, I mean, I took my son and a couple of his friends out to dinner after a basketball game, and it was like the best thing I could have done for myself as a father, because you get to watch all of them, and you're like, oh, these guys are all fucking,
Yeah.
they're the same. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Right.
And it's like, you know,
We did a Christmas party, so first grade, and I volunteered to go in a couple hours, hand out cookies. And it was like, oh, they're all the same.
oh yeah,
And we had so much fun and we interacted, and it was like, oh, I know you to a degree. I know what you're into. I know your interests. But I also know you're going to try to grab 4 cookies. You know, I know you're not going to sit down here in this place and like,
yeah,
oh, we're all kind of the same in this. And no one was bad,
Right.
but it was like
yeah,
the things that irk you about your kid, you see it and you're like, oh, okay,
yeah,
we're all in the same boat here.
yeah. And I think that same story applies to your marriage. You know, I'm lucky enough to be, and I've said this a couple times on the podcast, and Bob, you're the same way. Like, I have a lot of men I talk to really one on one, kind of, deep conversation. How's your marriage? How's your
Yeah.
life? How's your heart? And then the next day I'll see a Instagram post. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that ain't what we fucking talked about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, everything's dog shit in his mind. And then you see this post, just this beautiful family.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that getting to know the real version of men's lives, and also get to speak to them and go, hey buddy, like where you're at's perfectly normal. Like,
Yeah.
you're not special. You know what I mean? Like, every one of us struggles. Your wife, you, we all do. And then the same for business. You take fatherhood, parenthood, you know what I mean? Your marriage, your business life, and you get to talk to other men and you go, how's your work life, man? Fucking horrible. You know what I mean? I'm drowning. We're working on payroll. This is going to be a tight quarter. And then you'll see their marketing and it's like, we're taking over the world. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's hard.
Well, comparison culture it is the death of so many positive things in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's a broad statement, but it is, whether you just want to tack it on to us as humans, the increase in social media culture, there's so much wasted energy
Yeah.
that goes into the shoulds and everybody else's life instead of like, this is me. I'm going to outcompete yesterday me as a husband, as a professional, as a business owner, as a man. Screw everybody else. Not in a disrespectful way, but just in a way of like,
100%.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because that's literally me like giving my energy to this and that couple and this guy is killing it in business and this and this. And then all of a sudden the stuff that I actually can control,
Yeah.
I don't have any energy left for. So never
Take
it
it back to your
changes.
cake example, right? So
Yeah.
it's like not, yes, it's almost like not screw everybody else, but look, he's got his own cake, and that's really cool.
Yes. Yes.
But his is like
Or-
a whole different flavor, and I'm a carrot cake
Yeah.
guy, and I love my carrot cake. Instead of looking and going, he's like a chocolate, whatever, and he's Tyrel's an apple pie guy or whatever, and
Yeah.
vanilla ice cream, and go like, I love my carrot cake, right? And
Or
mine's
what?
great.
What
I
did he
got
do to
plenty
get
here.
such a big piece of cake?
Yeah,
Instead of like the jealous
This carrot
dude,
cake's
I
bigger
wish
than
I
mine.
had that life, or why I should have that. Like, what's he doing that I'm not doing?
uh-huh.
Not necessarily, like I need to be that dude, but like what actual things is he doing that I could learn from instead
Sure.
of being angry, frustrated, and jealous about? Because he's doing something that's working.
Right.
Maybe it's something that I
Maybe.
could take and put in my own
Maybe.
toolkit. Maybe.
Yeah.
Also, how much cake can you eat?
Right.
Fuck, right?
Right.
You can only eat so much cake.
Right. Right.
Right?
Right.
You keep trying to push for a bigger and bigger one. It's like, you
I
can
know.
fucking eat the whole thing anyway,
Right.
Bubba. Whatever
Yeah.
happened to be happy when you had, 14 slices. Now you want a whole big old sheet
Yeah,
cake.
That's it. Yeah. True.
For me, it's tough though, too, because then you like look in that mirror and it's like, okay, I saw this roadmap or what I perceive to be the roadmap to what I think is success or this high thing. But then it's like in the mirror and you're like, well, I've wasted my energy with this, this, and this, and I didn't do anything. So it's like, how do you take on that roadmap, I guess?
Well, how do you,
Or is it like, do you want to take on that roadmap? Or are you self-consciously kind of doing what you're...
but I think it's a good thing. And I've told you this before, and you just got to hear me because me and you spend a lot
Love
of
it.
time in here, but that disconnect you feel, I think, is because you believe you have potential. Right. And so I think that there's a balance to that where you go, I see it as a healthy thing. When a man, I think there's a balance to all of this, but there's when a man believes, well, I can make myself a bigger cake. I have potential for this, right? And so I don't know how we balance those two things on the scale of going, I'm happy with the cake I got, but I also think I can do better, right? You see you see, I'm really into this. I think I talked about it on the last podcast, but I'm really into this. Like, I forget what it is. It's a TV show about Michelin star restaurants, the restaurants that are trying to get a Michelin star, or
Okay.
they already have one trying for 2 or 3. And how many times those chefs will make a plate of food that I'm like, "Holy shit, that looks good." And they'll take a bite and throw it in the trash. You know what I mean? Because they recognize their potential of what they want,
Mm,
right? And so, Tyrell, this thing that me and you talk about often in your life is you have a little bit of a discontent, and I should be doing more. I should be doing better. You know what I mean? I should be trying harder. And I'm always trying to figure out that perfect word to say, "Hey, what you've done is amazing." And also, I love that you believe in yourself, that you believe that you've got potential to do something. We only get one shot at this life, I think. I don't
yeah.
none of us know. But as far as we know, we only get one shot.
Yep.
And so I'm gonna do something great with it, right? But how do you not have that hedonic horizon where it's continuously moving away from you? The field goal post is every day moving.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, if you've developed some good practices in your coaching, Bob, with that idea of like, how do we celebrate the present cake?
Yeah.
And then also internally know I've got a lot more potential in here too. I can make this thing either better. I can make it 7 or 8 layers. And I'm going to try that tomorrow, but let's celebrate today.
Yeah.
And then let's go try and do more tomorrow.
Right.
It's really hard to find that spot in a healthy way that feels good.
Yeah. And I think it fluctuates, right? It changes with ages and with
Yes.
seasons and where you are in life, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I know
Yeah.
for me, in mid 40s, it's different than it was mid 30s, early 30s, late 20s.
Yeah.
Like that all fluctuates. But
And that's good. Like I mean, I have the, a good example of that is I'd always dreamt of going to Alaska and fly fishing,
yeah,
so we went up, I don't know, 4 years ago, floated American Creek, and it was cool.
yeah,
And there's big fish
yeah.
right here,
And they're fish.
and they're fish. And
Yeah.
and I was and it was just like, this was cool,
It's another fish.
and the juice is still the juice for
Yeah.
me if it's across the road over here in this
Yeah.
little creek.
Right.
You know, um, Outside of the time I got with my brothers and my friends that I was on the trip with, and those
Yeah.
experiences of a bear walking through camp, a guy accidentally spraying bear spray in our fucking cook tent.
Yeah.
Those little, because those are just things you remember forever. So
Right.
yes, there's a component that is that. But at the end of the day, I was like, man, a dry fly is still a dry fly, and a
Yeah.
rising brown trout
Right.
is a rising brown trout.
Okay. Can I interject here?
Fuck yeah,
I'm like
I'm
dying.
talking too much anyway.
I'm dying to say something here. So there is. It's so easy, especially with high energy guys, right?
Yeah,
Especially with like over because I'm good with like a half day off at home. And this is not probably, this is definitely something I need to continue to work on. But like
sure.
if it's like a full day of sitting around doing nothing, like by like noon, I'm doing this.
Yeah,
There's the potential thing is interesting because for high achieving, high energy guys, like there's always an opportunity or a potential for more and to do stuff. And I love the exercise of having people either write their own eulogy or think about like if you're on your deathbed,
mm,
like what do you want in that moment? This is your last 2 hours of life. Like who do you want to be there with you? What actually is valued? What do you want out of that? What would you hope for in that moment? Because there's so much cool shit we could go do. And I mean, I would love to have like houses and different, like, whatever your goals are, right?
Yep.
yeah,
Millions, multiple millions, yada, yada. But it's easy to get caught up in that flow. And I think that exercise has been really powerful because it seems to really effectively help dudes anchor, like, oh, like, because I've been on a deathbed twice, right? Hantavirus almost killed me in 2008,
okay,
right?
yeah,
And then the thing that we just talked about, and for people that I've talked to that have been in that situation for myself, like no work, no money, right? Like really positive memories, like wanting more with my wife, wanting more with the kids. Like, so
yeah,
to think about that end game, to think about that deathbed, which I know is a long ways off, hopefully for all of us, right? But it helps funnel into perspective. Like, yes, I have all this potential and I can
yeah,
do all these amazing things.
yeah,
But because, like you said, I get this one shot at life, like what do I really want to get out of it? Like where do I where do I want to be
yeah,
when it's all said and
yeah,
done, right?
yeah,
I part of what pushed me into the work that I do right now is that when I was guiding, when I wasn't even thinking about the coaching, the counseling, year after year, I would see probably, I don't know, 150 guys between the ages of 65 and 80, right? All well to do, almost all of them very successful in one way or another financially. 85% of them would tell me the exact same story with a slightly different version every summer, right? They crushed it at work. They built the companies they want. They did all this cool stuff. Their marriages were in ruin. They no longer have connection with their wife. Their relationships with their kids are severed. They're completely unfulfilled and happy. They take the fishing trips to keep them entertained, but they really don't enjoy the fishing because it's just a fish now. And they
Yeah.
wish and they want that they could do all these things. So that to loop all the way back to like your isolation on an island, fine, like that's going to get you to a certain point, but it will
Financially, with
also,
one thing, and that's the
yeah,
dollar bill.
right.
That's it.
And it will also haunt you later on. And I've
Mhm.
heard that story so many times, like over 1,000 times easily
Yeah.
from different guys. So yeah, it's it'll land you in a spot where you don't necessarily want to be, and there's some different ways to align those purposes and really
Yeah.
channel your potential into what you actually want it to be in the end.
It takes a lot to convince ourselves though that, like, you can hear all those little guys talk, and then as a young man, you go,
Right,
nonetheless,
right,
I wanna find out for myself.
right.
Because I can say that, like, you wanna
Yeah.
have multiple houses, like, I've had multiple houses and places, and you find that all you ever do is go to the house and fix the shit that broke while you were gone.
Yeah.
You get there, you don't get to go fishing or hiking or do the things that you thought you'd enjoy when you were there, and so I, luckily get to kinda try that on a little bit and go, "That didn't quite feel right," you know?
Right,
And so we're all kinda constantly, like, pretty wombing our way through life, right? Like, you try on an outfit and you go, "That doesn't fit, that doesn't work, that doesn't work." But I think we kind of tend to force ourselves to go, "I know the old guy said, 'Slow down, enjoy breakfast with your kids every day if you can,'"
right.
you know? If you get a chance with your wife, sit for 15 minutes, that's pretty good, and they never go like, "Go make more money," you know?
Yeah,
The hard part is it's always coming from guys that made all the money,
right.
And, if you've ever been poor enough to go like, "Yeah, but I don't know if my truck's gonna start in the morning,"
Yeah,
there's a balance there, right? And I
Yeah.
and I think that's just it. It's like there is the trout bum lifestyle,
mhm,
and that's probably not great either because that guy also finds himself alone on a river at the end of the day,
right.
right?
Seen that a lot of
Yeah, you
times.
see that too, right? So there's
Mhm.
the other end of that spectrum, and you go, "Well, the balance is the," and I don't even like saying the word balance or you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
we've
Any of that.
talked about that.
We have talked 'cause this
Right.
isn't it's not real, it
No,
doesn't
there's no real
exist.
work-life
We live
balance. It
sort of in
changes.
extremes, you know what I mean?
Right.
But, how do you recognize the extremes,
Yeah,
accept those extremes, and then live within them and go, "Yes, this is an extreme moment, but I'm also gonna have an extreme moment, of fun and joy on this side," you know? Um, and I think because you can't go if you wanna try and find balance, I'm gonna do all of my life, I'm gonna do it at level 6. I'm gonna take care of my fitness at a level 6. I'm gonna take care of my marriage at level 6, so as to not pull too much energy from, you know, one other thing. So I'm just gonna kind of, energetically kind of remain in the middle of everything. You
right.
can't doesn't really work, right? You've got to be able to go, I'm gonna turn, somebody sent me, oh gosh, I wish I remember the guy's name. Joel sent it to you probably too. He was on a podcast, former SEAL or Marine, doing what a lot of those guys do now. But he talked about life being sort of a control panel. Think of it like that mixing board over there in the studio where all of our volume knobs are up at just different little different levels, right? So you're
Right,
mixing it. They're all on, but you're like right now our podcast knob and our engagement knob is level 10. My phone is off. I'm not thinking my business knob is at a 0. I'm not
right.
thinking about it all, or maybe a 1.
Yeah,
My fatherhood, my husband, all of that, they're all turned way down, and I've got this level 10 kind of, conversational podcast energy up. Um, but if I took all of those just to a 6, I said, "You guys I gotta keep my phone on just a little bit. Bob, I can't be all the way here." You know what I mean?
right,
All of those things, it just wouldn't work. The connection wouldn't happen that's
right,
here, right? And so it's something I think that we have to learn how to balance all of that, but we do like live in this world of moments of level 10 here, level 10 there. It doesn't mean those things don't exist particularly,
right.
um, but it is hard to hear those old guys say, "Here's my advice." And as a young man, you go, "I hear you, but I want to find out for myself,"
Right.
right? It's that saying with money, right? Money doesn't buy happiness, but I'd like to find out for myself.
Yeah. Well, that's that human element, right? Of like, and you see different guys, like, because it comes down to a decision, right?
Mhm.
It's when you make the decision. The decision really only takes a split second.
when do you find most guys making that decision? Because decisions only come out of pleasure or pain, right? Like, and most likely it's pain.
We're really good at the pain side of things.
Yep.
Right.
Right.
So when you find a guy and he comes to you and he's like, holes in his shit, you know what I mean?
yeah.
He's dragging, he's got one shoe missing, because that's probably where you get guys. Guys don't come to you going, "Hey, I had the best year of my life. I'd like to hire you as a
Right,
coach."
Right.
Yeah.
Right? They go, "This year fucking sucked."
Right.
And you're like, "Great. Another, broke ass dog at my doorstep."
No,
You know?
totally. There's a big canyon, North Platte River Wilderness in Wyoming, right?
Mhm.
And this is back when my son was like 6 or 7. Early May, my brother and I go in, kind of pre-runoff, and we're gonna fish stoneflies and those sorts of things down in the canyon, out of the way, like way out of the way nowhere, and off a little Wyoming 2-track. And we get down in there, and there's a little fire ring. It's kind of cold. Like I said, my kid's pretty little, so I start a fire. I'm like, we're gonna warm up, hang out for a little while before we go fish. Kind of doing the kid
Mhm.
friendly thing. And I've been in this place for years, and I turned after I started the fire, and I looked down the river, and there's a naked dude with his clothes and his boots on top of his head, and like the river's rocking pretty good, man. Like it's a freestone. It's probably like 750 CFS. It's cold as hell. It's a little bit muddy, and he's wading across the river. And I was like, "What in the hell is going on?" Right? So I'm skeptical a little bit by nature in terms of those kind of interactions. So I'm just letting him do whatever he does. Right? We're making the fire. Dude throws his clothes on, and he comes sprinting toward us up the trail. And he's like, "You got to put me in your car. You got to get me out of here right now. You got to get me out of here right now." And I was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, dude." I got a 6-year-old with me. I got my brother with me, and he's like rambling and not really making a lot of sense and saying that he's lost. And maybe he's
You're like,
lost.
"You look lost, bro."
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe he's lost, but I don't know, like, if he's running
Yeah.
from something or what's going on.
Yeah.
100%.
So I'm like, all right, here's a fire. I was like,
Yeah.
here's a protein bar. Here's a bottle of water. So we're gonna go fish for the day. I said, if you're still here when we get back, then we'll talk. And so he sits down by the fire. And so we go off. We fish the entire day, fully expecting the dude to be completely gone. Right when we get back, and I come back, and the dude is bawling, sitting by the fire, absolutely in tears. And so I'm like, what the hell's going on? So I start talking to him, and I'm a computer software guy. He's like, I was at a software conference in Fort Collins. He's like, I wanted to go for a day hike. So he's like, I printed this map off online. And he's like, it kind of just looked like a little oval. Right. And so he's like, I came down like this creek, and he's like, I got like kind of a mile and a half like down the trail, or I think about a mile and a half, and it didn't quite feel right. He's like, but
Yeah.
I just kept going, man. And he's like, I got down the creek, I got to the Platte. He's like, I thought I could go back up the Platte because of the map. And I knew it didn't quite feel right, but I kept going. And then I realized I was lost. And so I tried to go back up over the ridge. And he's like, I have no food on me last night. He's like, he was wearing like this cheesy little windbreaker. He slept next to a log on the ground, no fire, didn't have anything to start a fire with.
Yeah.
Right. Crossed the river, found us in the morning, which was lucky because we literally left halfway through the day, and there was a blizzard that dumped about a foot and a half of snow. He was a long ways from a trailhead, a long ways from a road or a car, right, with no gear. And I think a lot of dudes are like that. Like they wait till you can sense, like, yes, the young dudes, like they want to go experience it, they want to try it. But if we're honest with ourselves, right, there was some part of us, right, that could feel like maybe we were a little off track or this wasn't quite right, and we just kept going until it got really, really, really bad. And to answer your question, most guys will wait till things are very bad until they come.
Yeah.
Right. I work with some, like I see some guys that are like, hey, I want to be a better husband long term, or I feel like we're doing okay. But most is like I said, man, like she told me she wanted a divorce yesterday. Like, I need to work with you right now.
Yeah.
Right. Or like, I went to my doctor, like I had like early signs of a heart attack. Like, what do I have to do? Like, right. So we wait so long, and then we start doing stuff until it's a way harder situation to navigate our way out of, instead of really acknowledging that part of ourselves in there somewhere that was like, dude, I shouldn't be on this trail.
Right.
Like I need
Mhm.
to stop and go back, or make an adjustment right now, because it's going to land me somewhere that's going to be a lot harder to get out of.
Dude. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think we do it all the time, right? As guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Yeah, because it's because you do I think you seek that adventure. You seek
Yeah,
something that juices you up a little bit, right?
yeah,
And then we push we've done well by pushing those limits when we're younger.
yeah,
Doesn't always serve you as well when you're older.
right,
And also, like, ask people. Like, I
yeah,
think that's what guys are really, really bad about is going, like, "Hey, I'm gonna enter into this. I'm gonna go here." I was in that peer group yesterday, and, it's all focused on for the most it's not all on business, it is a lot personal too, but I had some questions about my business, and I've got dudes that their profit margin is more than I do total in my business in a year, you know what I mean?
yeah,
I mean, they're crushing it. And a lot of the feedback I got consistently from them was, "Well, how's that fit into your 3-year plan? Is that part of your 3-year plan? What's your 5-year plan?" And I left really going like, I need to have my 3, 5 my
mhm,
2, 3, 5, 10, whatever it is. And you know what's funny is most of them, even as successful and they've done it for 15, 18, 20 years, guys will say like, "All right, is that your 5-year plan?" He goes, it's really my 3." Even guys that have done it a ton have a hard time looking more than maybe 2 to 3 years down the line,
yeah,
right? And it was interesting for me to see, like, you've been here before. I would think you could see 15 or 20 years down the line. But where they're at currently, they've gone as far as they know how to go,
yeah,
in life and in business. And so they too can only see so far into the woods,
yeah,
um, before they feel safe or not, right? So it's like your bear, right? I don't know, he wasn't next to the tent anymore. He was 40 yards away, and that's how far I can see and I feel safe in that
right,
moment.
right,
But something that I definitely got a lot from them, just like your kid with the hiking, is like, well, what's your plan out?
yeah,
Tyrel is, an army guy, like you told me like that whole idea of self-rescue, you know what I mean? And so it's like, okay, we see a guy at the trailhead, we wouldn't ever say this, but in your mind, I've done that. I saw a guy, same thing, like I'm walking in to meet my buddies for a hunt. They're already at camp and past a guy, he's got blue jeans on and a Nalgene bottle.
yeah,
And I know these trails, and I know you aren't close to fucking anything. You're 5 miles from trailhead, and you're another 5 miles to really anybody camping more than likely,
right.
you know? And I'm like, "This guy's in trouble." I'm like, "You know where?" He's like, "Yeah, yeah, my buddies are up here at this, lake number 1." I'm gonna call it lake number 1, right? Lake number
Yeah.
1, and they're by
Yeah,
lake number
I'll
2.
get you those names afterwards, don't worry.
Exactly, and
I'm gonna send you in exactly the right direction. I will not put you in the wrong place.
yeah, exactly. I'm going up there, and I'm like, "This is a goddamn mud puddle." Bob was lying. There ain't no fish in this thing, and
Right.
and so, I'm like, "This guy's in trouble," and I kinda checked in, I was like, "You good? You sure you're good?" "Yeah. We've been up here a lot, I know where I'm going," And I'm like, Okay, man," Well,
Yeah,
sure as shit, I get to camp, and I'm sitting there that afternoon, and all of a sudden, we see 2 rescue helicopters flying around, and I don't know for sure that it was this guy, but my guess is it's the guy that's 6, 7 miles deep, and nothing against blue jeans. There's some old cowboys that
right,
kick my ass in blue jeans, but, I just knew he was ill prepared. And, I think in life and business and young men, I do that a lot when, we've had a lot of our friends having babies, and as a brother to those guys, I've called them and gone, "How about we get a cup of coffee?" You
yeah,
know what I mean? Just wanna make sure that you're prepared for self-rescue, you
right,
know? What do you got in your back pocket? You got a med kit on you? Do you have the tools and tactics, as Coach Bob would say, to be ready for when, uh, you wake up at 3 in the morning and your wife is losing her shit and you've got to feed a baby?
right,
Let me give you some tips. Let's have a couple bottles ready to go. You
yeah,
know what I mean? Or, what can we do to help out in this situation? And so I think that, like us to circle back to us talking about the 3 to 5 year plan or just even 3, that was great feedback. What's your plan for the next 3? What's your tools? Tactically, what are you going to do strategically,
right,
to be ready to go? And I think that same thing applies to, our marriage. I'm in that spot with my marriage where, our kids were right now we're about 4 years away from being empty nesters.
yeah,
And recognizing that, hey, babe, me and you probably need to pick a point in the distance that's about 4.5 years away and start working toward that. Right. Because we've spent the last 17 years really focused on being parents
yeah,
and how we function as a team, as a husband and a wife, as parents. But that no, it's never going to change. That's always going to be sort of our identity. As I'm a father and she's a mother, but we're going to find ourselves alone in this house in 4.5 years. And who do
that's
we
a
want to be in 4.5
yeah,
years when that comes? And so that's kind of like that. What's my 4-year plan? You know, because if you just get there and all of a sudden the kid leaves and you go, fuck, now what?
That's a really common thing.
Yeah,
That's a huge thing that comes up so frequently.
right.
And I think even on the simple side of things, like, oh, the X and the Y, man. X and the Y with most of the guys that I work with and on the relationship. So if we apply that to the relationship side of things, like having your minimum of X, like I do this every single day, right? And working, so it's theoretical, like you and your wife set your 4.5 year plan, right? Like my X is like for 5 minutes a day, 10
Yeah,
minutes a day,
yeah,
without exception. Like I'm gonna be fully present with my wife.
yep,
I want to know her. I want to understand her. I want to study her as my teammate.
yeah,
And that might not be ideal, right? I might want an hour with her, but if life gives me 5 minutes, I'm doing that 5 minutes. And then
yeah,
Yeah.
maybe like, maybe the kids are asleep for a couple hours. Maybe it's a Sunday or a Saturday and I get a full hour.
yeah,
But knowing that, giving yourself the grace of like if I did my X, that's keeping my standards high, man. I
yeah,
took my reps and they were quality reps. And if I can do my Y, great. But if I always have X or Y every day, simple, light load, but still high quality, when I get to the end of that year, that 4.5 years, I'm still going to know that person. I'm going to have that connection. It's going to be stronger,
yeah,
right? As opposed to like, well, sorry, babe, I got to go the next month. I got a big work project. Like I'll see you in 4 weeks and then we'll talk that. Like
right.
that's not getting you to your 4 year plan, right?
Yep.
Right. Not pointed at you, just saying like
No,
in
point away,
general,
dude. Like
in
that's
general.
totally like I mean that's fine because I've screwed it up in every way you can screw it up.
Yeah, me too.
You know, I really have, and gone deep where you disappear. You know, and you think, well, I'm taken care of. I'm out fighting
Right.
for my
She
I'm
understands it.
fighting for
She
my
knows
wife and
why I'm
kids because
gone.
I'm
I
doing
haven't
this for
talked to her for
them.
3 weeks.
Yeah, but this is for you. And then you get home and she's like, yeah, but I need all of this.
Yeah,
You know, and you're like, yeah, but I was making a financial move or whatever for our family, and this is gonna, long term, and
yeah,
and it doesn't. And that marriage piece, it comes up so often because, um, again, like we said, it's not just a lever you pull like marketing in your business or, you know,
yeah,
like fuel in the truck. You put it in, it's there, it's done, it's easy. It's it's a little bit like if you're thinking about, like, I got to top off the truck, but you go to 3 gas stations, they're out of gas.
yeah,
Like, you
Yeah.
have to be prepared to, like, not just top off the tank when it's empty, right?
yeah,
Like, you've gotta always be, dad always used to say, like, it's just as easy to keep the top half full,
yeah, yeah. You don't want to empty out the tank completely.
No, right?
Deposits and
Right,
withdrawals, man.
right.
You want to make more
Because in marriage,
deposits.
like, you might like I said, you might pull up to the first gas station that's empty because it's like
Yeah,
she's her own person too. So you go, "I'm
yeah,
just gonna step in, I'm gonna give her my 15 minutes today, I haven't done it in 3 weeks."
yeah.
You might not like what you find there,
Yep.
you know? And, now you've got a mess to clean up, and you think we're gonna go connect, and really she's ready to just chew your ass, and
Right.
so you better be ready for an ass chewing then too. So it's like you step into that, especially in a marriage, and go, "I'm prepared for anything in this situation.
Yeah.
I'm just entering into it knowing that she needs I need to give that time, deposit that time." And so
Right.
that's why it's an interesting thing. What's the biggest thing that brings guys to you out of those? We've kind of danced around, career. We've
Yeah.
danced around. Let's say let's take career. Let's take personal fitness and personal care and marriage or fatherhood.
I would
What's
say
the
that,
trigger? What's the thing that when that one drops out, they come to you?
yeah, the relationship is the most common for
Hmm.
sure. I'd say it's probably 60% to 55 to 60% relationship, almost always with either a work element
Hmm.
or a physical fitness element attached to it. Sometimes
So
all
like I've
three,
been working
pretty
too
much.
much. I got fat.
Yeah,
My marriage is
pretty
dog
much
shit.
always two,
Yeah.
always two, sometimes all three. But the relation, I mean, we go home to that every day, right? And
Yeah.
so that's the one thing that like I can ignore my fitness, I can put that off to the side. Sure, like I can be apathetic toward my job, but for whatever reason, like that relationship, when that starts to get rocky, that tips the scale of for a lot of the dudes that I see, they're like,
Right.
I can't focus at work, like I'm stressed, like I
Right.
can feel my health going, like it already wasn't good, but now like she's mad at me, right? She's talking
Yeah.
about it, or like something came or
So
this and
why even
that. Like,
bother? Like, why have a relationship?
in my opinion, my biased opinion,
Yeah.
I personally think that we were designed to have that teammate in our lives, right? I think that like my wife is very bold and direct, right? And she is her primary, like, not that the love languages rule all, but her primary love language is time spent, right? And so huge challenge for me as a go-getter and a busy guy to invest that time spent and to pull away. But I know for a fact, like in the time that I've been with her, right, the things that I have learned about myself because she is a badass teammate, man. Like she communicates so clearly. She helps me see my blind spots, right? She strengthens me as the person that I am. I feel more purpose not being on an island and being like legitimately connected to her. I a lot of times like I don't know if she'll watch this or not. A lot of times I don't like what she says, man. Like I don't want to hear what she has to say
Yeah.
because it hits an honest chord,
Yeah.
like a realistic, like, I know that, man. I've just been ignoring it. But she has made me a better person to the point, no exaggeration, that like my my growth in business, the things I've been able to do in interacting with other people, my bottom lines, right? My profit, my even some of the stuff that I do with my own health and my fitness has all improved because of things that I wasn't acknowledging or wasn't recognizing at all. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think the teammate aspect is going to help you live a more fulfilled life, not feel that lack of purpose, and be better at the stuff that you do if you're willing to have that communication and that connection with that person, right? Open
Yeah.
up those doors of like, we're teammates in this, right? Like when you played football, right? You always looked out for your teammate's best interest, right? You would do anything for them, right? If they slipped a little bit, like you were there
You
to
had
pick
their
up,
back.
and
Yeah.
maybe you and they had their back. If you have that attitude and openness, it's going to take you farther in every element of your life.
Agreed.
That's my view on
Yeah.
it.
How about you, Tyrel? Why even try, right? Guys, that relationship is hard. It's hard for those ladies too. They got to put up with our shit.
Yeah.
But well,
Um, I think the partnership's important. I mean, I don't have the experience or talk to as many people, but I am better with her.
yeah,
And when I'm better, she's better. When she's better, I'm better. And then we're better.
right.
I just think as men, we need that partner. I think we go through that. It's a tough one. I think, especially like younger guys my age or so, difficult with like, committing, staying with one, especially like on the sex side of things and
Right.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so I do feel like as humans, like marriage and all that is like a religious thing, which is hard for me to get behind sometimes.
Sure.
But it's like I committed to you. I chose this for my reasons,
Right.
and I wanted your partnership. But I do think we battle a little bit of like humans, right? I think whether it's good or not, I think we want to be solo. We want to have that lone wolf mentality. We want to not be pinned down, right? Especially at younger age, those low 20s to 30s. Like,
Yeah.
the horizon is so far out there, I feel like and it's work, but like anything, you got to go through it. And I do believe you are on the better side with somebody and that partner.
Yeah. Especially,
I think you pick a wrong one sometimes too.
Yeah.
I think seeing it and like moving on and understanding like there's more detriment than there is growth, but I don't think we're as capable as men, and this is all of us without a good half. That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
1000% agree. Yeah, and sometimes you do make the wrong pick. And
Yeah.
that's like I've never like not pushing to like advocate the ending of a relationship or a divorce, but just kind of speaking to dudes that maybe picked the wrong one. Maybe you put in a lot of time.
Yeah.
Maybe either you did or you didn't work on yourself and that ended. Like that is not an end game. That's a new beginning, right? There is more 1000% a teammate out there for you, for who you want to be with and for the guy that you want to be. And that's okay. Like that's part of the learning process, man.
Yeah.
Like that's part of the reps. If it worked out that way,
Yeah.
I did that. I lived through that, been through that, right?
Yep.
Thought that it would be like a stamp on my record, and then it literally has been a launching point for the best part of my life by far.
Sure.
And I see
Yeah.
that with a lot of guys that I work with.
Yeah.
So just kind of keeping that in mind of like, yeah, that happens. Like I might not do it perfectly. I might not do it right the first time. That's okay. That doesn't mean game over.
Right. Well, it wasn't even about not doing it perfect. I think so many men I watch, there's a song, Hayes Carl sings it, country music guy, kind of little guy.
Yeah.
But there's a line in the song that says, "I'd rather be more than you can stand than you love half a man." Right. And I tell my wife that all the time, and I'm like, I'd rather just be a lot, so to speak. You know what I mean? She said that. She's like, "You're kind of a fucking lot sometimes." And I'm like, I know, but I'm bringing it. You know what I mean? But I think so many of us, men, especially I see post divorce, they realize they look back and they're like, I was just kind of this empty shell.
Yeah.
And it's pretty, I could, in a way you kind of go, I mean, makes sense that she kind of fell out of love with you. You
Yeah.
kind of were bullshit, bud, to be honest. Like you just, you woke up, you went to the 9 to 5, you sat in the box, you watched the Steelers game on Sunday and you went did it again.
Right.
Who were you? What were you? And so I think a lot of guys like I think that you're seeing is like post that first relationship, they come back and they go, I got married when, you get married when you're 20,
Yeah.
21, 22, you're a child,
Totally.
and then you divorce at 35 or whatever it is. I don't know. That's kind of,
Yeah,
somewhere
that's
in
pretty
there.
standard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
somewhere
they
in there.
go like, and they have to reassess, right?
Yeah.
Because if they're filling out the online dating thing, I've never luckily had to do that, but
Yeah.
you got to go, okay, what am I about? I guess I got a cute picture of me and my dog, and I'm going to pretend I like hiking and I'm going to pretend I like mountain biking, and I think probably at some point you go, well, is that really me? Is that really who I am? And I think that if more guys would just sit down once in a while and go, what am I about?
Right.
Because we can autopilot for a lot of years and not really think like, is this me? You know what I mean? Is this really, really who I am? And I think divorce, unfortunately, does a good job of that. You see people, both the
Yeah.
husband and wife go out and they get fit all of a sudden.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
get a new
everybody
hobby
loses
all of a
weight,
sudden. They
everybody's
all
getting all
lose
jacked,
weight.
yeah.
Yeah, they get jacked.
Yeah.
And I always look at it and I go, maybe not, but maybe had you both been living that way to start with,
Right.
Yeah.
you know?
Because did it take that? Because now you're a better husband, I'm assuming, right? You could sit in the mirror, look at that.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, not even comparable,
So did it take that
in my opinion, yeah.
previous one to be the person you are now? Or could you have achieved who you are without that? And then I'm more asked because it's like I always look at it as like we're changing every 5 years. Me and my wife, we're
Right.
different people.
1000%.
We're growing together, we're growing apart.
Mhm.
And this is a big thing for me because it's like I look at my life in 5 years. I've never committed to much, right? It's like I want something different. I want something different.
Right.
And this is me. And so now I look at it as like this is me, and I'm gonna change in 5 years, and I'm
Right.
okay with that. And it's not exactly 5 years, but I can look back in those moments where, when I was 18 and my wife was 20, we were obviously very different
Right.
than with some kids in the house.
Yeah.
But I don't know where I'm going with this, but it's just that changing aspect. And sometimes it's like, are we working to change and grow together, or are we growing apart?
Right.
Right.
Because we're going to hit a point where we're different. We look different. You think of work different. You think of how we're raising our kids different.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah, you're
And it's not a bad thing, but we
No.
learned over the time, and now we have a different outlook on it.
Right.
Did we achieve that together?
Well, and that's where number one, right? So that's where to answer your initial question, right? Did it require my first relationship for me to be the husband that I am now? For me, my first situation was a little bit different, right? I initially married as a young dude, right?
Mhm.
Like 23 and a half years old. A lot of negative feedback on who I was being like actual me. So I spent a lot of time hiding, crumpling, changing, adjusting to the point where I just like broke at the end and I was like, I can't do this anymore. So I had to do a lot of work to get back to figure out even who I was, like to remember and to feel comfortable being who I actually
Mhm.
was because I'd hidden it for so long, thinking and feeling like it was a bad thing in my relationship, right? So that was definitely a part of it. But the real truth, like the real trigger for me is that it was a reminder from my first marriage that actually paired with an event in my current marriage. I'd done like 6 months worth of like actual work on myself, right? And I was like a year into being married to Steph. And I was like, I got this figured out, man.
I'm good.
I did
Look at me.
I did my
I got
work.
all my holes filled.
Yes, like I'm gonna be good, man.
Solid.
So I just stopped, right?
Yeah.
I stopped with what I'd done. And then we got all the way to the point where things started to get like really bad again, really rocky. And I was like, I hit a day and I was like, no, like I'm not going back down this road again. And I started going to counseling and picking up self-help books and working through online programs, anything I could do to learn more about myself, to be better. And that was really the catalyst that has moved me through, like, the coaching path that I do now, but has really built me into the husband that I was because I could feel myself being older, right? Being more aware. I mean, I was
Yeah.
late 30s by then, knowing and starting to acknowledge, like, okay, like, a lot of this was 1,000% on me and start to do the work and understand myself. That is what built me into the husband that I am right now. And then pairing that with the I don't know, the mindset of like marry your wife and date her forever, man. Like
Yeah.
the great stuff. When I know that sounds cheesy, but there's so much truth in it, right? Like I would have done you do anything to like impress your girlfriend, right? Before she's your fiance, you'd
Yep.
take time. Like you go to bed late, right? Like
Yeah.
you used to, you would like you'd work a day, you'd go lift, you'd come home, you'd be with her. And then we like taper off of those things, right? So
Yep.
back to that like XY. If I just do the X like at least consistently and I bounce back and forth between those two, it puts us in a situation where we have a chance to do that and to be better. I don't think you have to have you do not have to have a collapse in your life,
100%.
right?
Yeah.
To be
Yeah.
the husband that you want to be. You definitely have to make the decision,
Yeah.
right? To commit to it, like you said, like you chose. You chose them, they chose you. Right? What are you gonna do with
Yeah.
that decision in terms of the daily stuff? And I'm biased, but I'm all about the daily stuff, man. I'm chunk it down. Chunk it down. Like have your 3-year plan. That's awesome. I love that. 3-year plans are important, right? Because we have to have that. And then chunk it back to today. Like, what are you gonna
Yeah.
do today? Go date her for today. And then when you wake up tomorrow, go date her tomorrow. Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks.
How was that counseling thing like? How was that one gave me a little bit of like a oof, you know what I mean? Like as men, I don't think we're good at, you know, saying I'm gonna go get some counseling, right? Unless you're like at rock bottom,
It was horrible for me.
right?
Yeah.
Right. That scares me a little bit too,
Yeah. It
right?
scared me. And my first counseling, I don't know how it's been for you guys if you've done it, but like my first counseling experience is also motivation to do what I do
Hmm.
now. Super unimpactful with the first counselor I worked with. Really frustrating. I was literally like shaking in the waiting room in the chair, thinking about
Yeah.
going in, right? Some
Mhm.
older lady I'd never met.
Yeah.
I'd go in, I'd sit in the chair and didn't want to be there, right? Didn't want to do it, knew that I needed to do something. So I just got a recommendation to pick somebody and I would sit there in the chair and she would ask me questions and sit and listen and I would talk and she would give me zero feedback and zero tools, zero anything. And I would leave and I would pay and I would come back. And I did
Yeah.
that for like, it felt better to talk, right? It
100%.
felt
Yeah.
better. I was actually like saying something and doing something. I also didn't have I didn't know what the hell I was supposed to do
Right.
and go
Yeah.
home and do with it. I didn't know what
Yeah.
my next steps were. So I
Yeah.
felt like I was making progress, but then didn't really know what to do to improve it. So yeah, the fear was real, right? It got less scary the more that I went.
Did you stick with that counselor or did you find
No, I
somebody that fit
flipped.
better?
I went
Yeah.
to a second counselor, and the second counselor was pretty similar.
Oh
And
shit.
so then I went and, worked with I actually did, like, some coaching work, and
Mm.
that was for me, like, it's different for everybody, right? And there are some great counselors out there that do some
Yeah.
really good work, right? But yeah, the counseling stuff was impactful for me because it started to give me this stuff that I could like, okay, like I can take this step. Like
Right.
this is going to give me like I can do this today, right? I can do this all week until I come
Yeah.
back and I'll build on that.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the way it went for me.
Yeah. So I mean, counseling, you would recommend it still to guys, but
Yeah,
you got to find that connection with
right.
that
Yeah,
counselor
talk
that's
to your. I mean, dudes don't talk about it, right?
yeah.
But realistically, there's probably a guy in your friend group
Yeah, there is.
that has been to a good counselor
Mhm.
that's actually doing something for
Mhm.
him.
Yeah.
So just having those honest conversations to find that because it is like don't just pick somebody off of Google, right? Reviews are nice, but that firsthand information is
Yeah.
so much better because like it can be pivotal, right? Like if you go and we know it's not easy for guys to open up. If that's your first time opening up to somebody and it's either like I have new I could go on for a couple hours on stories of clients that have come to me with negative interactions with counselors, stuff
Yeah.
that's been said that shouldn't have been said, like talk to your buddies, find a good person so that you
Yeah.
know that, your time is your greatest currency, that when you're going to go, it's going to be valuable and it's going to have the impact that you
Yeah.
want. So you're not wasting it or getting blasted. And then all of a sudden you really don't want to go do work on that
Right.
stuff.
I've always liked the idea, not just because you're here, but I've always liked the idea of coaching better or it's sort of a two-part recipe of kind of
Yeah.
left leg, right leg a little bit because counseling doesn't tend to be as much forward looking and
Yeah.
go, let's plan on how you're going to be different in 2 years from now or
Right.
2 days from now. It's a lot of like, what'd you fuck up last year?
Right.
Or how'd your parents screw you up? How'd you
Right.
screw yourself up? What's all that's just on? Let's just unpack all this baggage of shit and just talk about that versus like, great, okay, I'm aware, I'm here. I know I've got that. I'm here,
Yeah.
but what am I going to do about it? Right. How am I going to move forward? And nothing, I know some guys that I think are incredible counselors because, as a young man, you tend to put on some armor,
Yeah.
some protection, for the things that you're maybe not good at or those pains you've got in the past. And I think counseling is good to, identify that and learn, hey, you've been carrying some of this around, you need to let it go. But I think coaching is also that thing that goes, okay, but I need to build a really compelling future
Right.
to go with this knowledge. So I've got all this knowledge, but now what to do with it? And so I think that coaching piece where you live is helping paint this really cool picture of, hey, let's rethink who you can be, right? And let's start to work on that guy because that
Right.
feels really good. And guys, especially, we need those W's every day. We need to win. We need to win. We
Mhm.
need to win. And that's where you talked about chunking it down. Like that's how I see it is chunk it down to where give yourself a way to win. Pick one thing,
Right.
whatever it
Right.
is. Like for me, like I'm building a new table for the podcast studio right now, right? So maybe it's just that's my win for the day. I'm going to build the legs. And I'm going to be proud of myself for that. And then
Right.
I'm going to get a workout in. I'll be proud of myself for that too. And then maybe I get to stack one more on there. I do a really good job with my wife, or maybe I take my son to the rec center and we shoot some ball.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I D him up. Maybe I block his ass. I don't know. Break his ankles or something. Because I'll be
maybe you
really,
twist your ankle.
I'll be
Yeah.
bummed out if I break his ankles. But more than likely, I'm going to come away with a hamstring tear.
Yeah.
But hey, I'm going to go hard either way, right?
Yeah.
He knows I'm going to bring it, right?
Right.
And I'll kill myself trying. But yeah, it's those forward looking wins that we need to kind of start to stack up. I think that, but that counseling thing is really taboo is not the right word. I don't have the words to say what I believe it is for guys, but we don't tend to look if a buddy goes, yeah, I'm in counseling, you go, oh, you little bitch.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Or it's a weakness.
Exactly.
When really it's the
You're
opposite
pretty weak,
because you
buddy.
finally had the balls to go
Yeah.
take that first step.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think counsel culture too has also gotten a little out of hand as well. Because if you just live in that, you live in it, live in it, and then versus like, okay, what about the other side of the coaching side, right?
Right.
Yeah, let's talk about maybe, and I'm not a counselor, so I should probably there needs to be some disclosure or something with this, but in my personal experience,
Yeah.
and a lot of men I spend a lot of time around, I think that they kind of should be hand in hand, right?
Yeah. Well, I think that one of the things I enjoy about the coaching side of things, obviously, I use the counseling skill set, right? Like I work with the EMDR and some other stuff that's really helpful in getting dudes past some really deep internal past stuff, regardless of what it is. But that being able to give them that like that kick in the ass accountability, that upfront real of like I'm not like the program I do it's a 3-month program, right? Like I'm not here to have you come back for 2 years, man. Like
Yeah.
we can check in for sure. We can have that. We can however that works for you.
Yeah.
But that whole like come into my office, sit, talk, like come back.
I'll
Like
bill
no,
you.
like
There's your hour.
we're here to
Come
like
back next week.
generate change, the change that you want. I'm going to
Yeah.
equip you for that. I'm going to hold you accountable. I'm going to respectfully not take your bullshit excuses. And I'm
Yeah.
here when you commit to it, like that's what you're getting, right? We're here to change the identity of who you are in this 3-month period. I'm going to equip you to effectively do that.
Yeah.
I'm going to be your teammate and you're coaching it. And I'm going to call you out if you're not getting it done like that. I love that environment, man, because it sparks growth. It doesn't waste people's times because we don't have time to waste, man. Like
Yes.
time keeps going faster. I don't know how it
Yeah.
is for you, but for me, every year is going faster.
God.
And so, yeah,
Yeah.
to exist in that environment I think it's more valuable for them. I feel better about it. It's more rewarding for me. Like I love that brotherhood, that accountability, that environment you can build in there where,
Yeah.
like you said, in a lot of counseling environments, it's like, dude, no, like don't. Like you can't call them out. Like you can't like you can't say
Yeah.
like I'm like, dude, come on, man. That's one of the reasons why I left the counseling world. It's like you can't, you can't make that statement to the client. They have to figure it out on their own. I'm like, yeah, you have to come to a realization.
Yeah.
Right.
But I'm not gonna let the dude sit there for 9 months and tell me the exact same thing and not call
He'll
him out.
find
on
it on it's like sitting right there.
Right.
Like just pick that one up
Right.
right there.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you don't like that one, throw that one and pick that one up.
Right. Right.
But the quicker you do it and you start picking these up, the better.
Dude, exactly,
Yeah.
dude. Exactly.
Yeah.
And you're playing like a game of hot cold, getting hotter,
Right.
getting warmer,
Right,
getting
right.
warmer.
It's
It's like
like-
just fucking tell me.
It's exactly that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, this was a really good conversation. I appreciate you.
I
a ton,
appreciate
Bob.
you guys, man.
This is fun.
Where do we find you? Where do men find you? And how do they work with you on what you're up to?
Yeah, so I'm at Coach Bob on Instagram. Super duper easy to find.
Yeah.
I share it with you guys. You can put it in with the information there. And the structure that I have set up now for new clients is I do 5 days with guys for free. So they get 5 30-minute sessions with me up front. It's a great way for me to give them real value, for them to see what this is all about, right? To build that trust before they actually move forward. Really flexible, easy to work around their schedule, and all virtual. So wherever you're at, you can dial that in, and everything I do with my background is customized to the individual. So it's not a theory approach or a one size fits all. It's going to be you looking for whatever breakthrough you want, and then we customize and dial that into whatever you want to accomplish.
Dude, that's sick. We've got
Yeah, I
you a
love that.
little Ruckless hat gift for coming in. Let me see back here.
All right, all right, all right. My head is huge. I'm going to warn you right now.
Big old head.
Oh, dude. Well, we'll
Big
see.
brain.
If it doesn't, we've got a bunch of different hats, and we'll get you one. But like, it's fun. This is our buddies at Lost Hat Co. They make a cool hat, but I've got a pretty big head as
That's
well.
awesome, dude.
And so those ones don't
Yeah,
fit.
dude, my head. My head is like tall. It's the tall head, right? So it'll be like up there. It's
Yeah,
not bad, but it's vertical, right?
it's tight though too. And it
Yeah.
kind of gives you a little
Yeah.
headache and the old noggin when you're
Yeah.
fishing. So
God bless my mom.
yeah. Yeah, I know. You had to bird that. So, but in all seriousness, we've got a bunch of different hats that hats are my love language.
Yeah, me too.
You
man. I
know?
nerd out on them.
Yeah, and so it's that's a big piece for me at Ruckless. And then we have a fun deal where that it's kind of my little baby idea, but when people buy a hat from us, if they wear the hat out, kind of like that Ruckless hat back there,
Yeah.
it's just all sweated out from
Yeah.
a hunting season. All they have to do is send us back the hat
Really?
with a Polaroid or a picture of the adventure they went
And
on,
you kick on a new one.
and a little like 3x5 card. Just tell me your story,
Yeah.
because that's what we're here there for. Is just like we want to hear people's stories, and we want to know that this like it's just a piece of fabric, but like go out and wear it out.
Right.
And so we have kind of a lifetime warranty on hats.
I love that.
Pay for us to ship it out to you. Give me your story, and we'll send you a new one.
Right.
And so I hope someday I go broke buying hats, because that would mean that like we've helped create adventure for people. And so it's like if we could, I hope that there's a huge line item in our budget someday that goes, this goddamn lifetime warranty hat thing is a
It's
problem.
killing
But I've
us.
got walls and walls full of adventures and pictures of people catching big fish or
Right.
shooting their first little spike muley
Yeah.
or something would be cool. So anyway, we got you a hat, and if
Appreciate
that
it.
doesn't seem like it's going to fit, we'll get your address. We'll send you out
Yeah.
another one.
I like that.
Yeah,
That sounds
so-
good.
But you have to promise to go adventure in it, man.
I get a fair amount of adventure
figured
per
you
year.
might.
There's no worry about that. That will happen.
Yeah, good. Well, thanks again for coming on to the Ruckless
Yeah,
podcast.
thank both you guys.
Tyrel,
Thank you,
anything
man.
else I'm forgetting to say to the audience here before we wrap it up?
Oh, you did good, man. Really appreciate your time, dude.
Yeah. Thank you.
Your energy's awesome. Yeah, we could go. That was a quick one. We'd go for another couple hours. This is fun. So
My favorite. It's my favorite. So thank you guys for listening. It means the world to us. We don't take this lightly, and really an honor to get to bring Bob in today. I know if nothing else, I got a lot out of it. I got to think that you guys will as well out there in the audience. And so thanks again for joining us at Ruckless podcast. We'll see you again next Thursday.
see you guys.
La,